Okay, so the last time when we were finding trig ratios in our last video, we were given two pieces of information and we had to set up our triangle and find one of the trig functions. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the same thing, except we're going to find all six of them. Well, technically five, because we're given one of them. Okay? So they've given us cosecant, so at least we get one right automatically. We know that cosecant here is negative 25 over 24. Okay? And since we know what cosecant is, we automatically know what sine is because they're reciprocals. So sine is negative 24 over 25. Okay, those are the two easy ones. Now, this is where it gets tricky. We're going back to what we did before. Well, we're going to figure out, well, what quadrant are we in? Okay, well, cosecant is negative, which means that sine is negative. So where is sine negative? That's in the third and the fourth quadrants. Okay? Then they also told us that tangent was less than 0. Less than 0 means negative, and where is tangent negative? Well, tangent's negative in the second and the fourth quadrant, which means the place where sine is negative and tangent negative is my fourth quadrant. So that's where my triangle lies, here in the fourth quadrant. Now, using what I know about cosecant, cosecant is r over y. So my r value is 25 and my y value is negative 24. And then we can use the Pythagorean theorem here to figure out what our third side is. So our last side is going to be 7. Now, since I'm in the fourth quadrant, it's going to be positive. So now that I know what x, y, and r are, I can find cosine. So cosine is 7 over 25, which means secant its reciprocal, which is 25 over 7. Tangent is y over x. So y is negative 24, and x is 7. And cotangent is its reciprocal, so 7 over negative 24. And those are all 6 of our trig functions. So technically, we're not finding all 6 of them. We're only finding 3, and then the other ones are the reciprocals, because we found cosine and we found tangent. Well, secant is just the reciprocal of cosine. So we really didn't find that. We just took the reciprocal of it. Okay? So this is basically like what we did last time. We're just adding in the other trig functions. We're not just finding one, we're finding all of them. Okay? So again, let's try another one. So let's see, what did they give us to start off with? Well, to start off with, they told us cosine was negative 9 over 15, which again means that we know what secant is because they're reciprocals. So 15 over 9. Okay? Now we got to figure out which quadrant we're in. So cosine is negative 9 over 15. So cosine is negative in which two quadrants? The second and the third. And then cotangent is greater than 0, which means positive. So where is tangent positive? Well, that's in the first and the third. So where is both of those occurring? That's the third quadrant. So my triangle is in the third quadrant. And because they gave me cosine, I know that my r is 15 and x is 9. Because we're in the third quadrant, we know my x is negative. And then we do our Pythagorean identity, Pythagorean theorem. We take 15 squared, we subtract 9 squared, we take the square root. But this is also a Pythagorean triple because 5 times 3 is 15 and 3 times 3 is 9, so 4 times 3 is 12. And since we're in the third quadrant, it is negative. So now that we know what y is, we can find our sine and our tangent. Sine is then negative 12 over 15. And then tangent is going to be 12 over 9 because it's y over x. But since they're both negative, and negative divided by negative is positive. So then we find cosecant, which is the reciprocal of sine. So it's 15 over negative 12. And then cotangent, which is the reciprocal of tangent, which is 9 over 12. And there you go. So again, it's just like what we've been doing last week, where we're setting up our triangle, using those values to find all of them instead of just one of them like we did last week.